I include Bobby Jones on golf in my list of preferred books because of the history of the game. He was all his life an amateur golfer. He never turned professional, but had the greatest professionals in the world as friends, and he competed against them very successfully. He won all four of the major championships of the era in 1930, the US and British Opens, the US and British Amateur Championships, the unilateral quadrilateral, I think it was called, by some famous writer. And his golf book, therefore, is, I think, a wonderful window into the history of the game. And so for those select few who possess the predisposition, and I'm particularly thinking of young people in my profession, I suggest that you read these books, not because they're necessarily relevant in terms of technique, but because of the broadening of your understanding of the history of the game and what got us here. Now, there is one feature in there that I think was a little ahead of its time in that book, and that was his opinion about ball position. Quite simply, we have a bag full of different clubs. They're all, of course, farther or closer to our feet. And so the longest club's in the bag, the longest club in the bag is the driver. And it's agreed that the ball is going to be farther left as the club gets longer. Now, if you look at some of the historical books, like Harry Vardon's from the late 19th century, you'll see ball positions and lines across the toes that are quite distinctly different. They had the ball much farther back. It had a little to do with the material that they were using, the shafts of the clubs and the kind of ball shape of head. But back to the original point, Bobby Jones anticipated a couple of generations later the opinion of Jack Nicklaus, the acknowledged greatest ever, who has won 18 of those majors. And he, Jack Nicklaus, advocated putting the ball in one single position opposite the left. I think he said heel. Bobby Jones said that he thought that the ball should be positioned opposite the middle of his left foot with all of his clubs. And he was, to my knowledge, the first person that had advocated that. So I generally, when I'm teaching golfers from scratch, start them off with the ball in the middle with the shortest clubs, and then moving the ball, let's say, a half an inch farther to the left as it gets a half an inch farther from the feet as the clubs get longer. But it's lovely to see that Jack Nicklaus had a reference to Bobby Jones.